prenatal nutrition program, and I'm here with Erika, who is the dietitian here for Rama.
So today we're going to be talking about how to make baby food and some reasons why you might want to make your own baby food. And I'm also going to be referring to a series of handouts that will be available for you as a reference in this video at the end. So there will be a link at the end of the video for the handouts if you are interested. I must say they are very user-friendly and have a really nice guide as to what to introduce when and how much. So I found it very helpful to have something like this. So that will be available for you at the end of the video. So I thought first we'd talk about when you're starting food, it is recommended at 4 to 6 months that you would start with an iron fortified cereal first. And the reason you're doing that is because your baby needs iron. So the best source of iron at that time is going to be a cereal. So it's recommended that you go with a single grain. So when I say that, it means either rice or oats. So you have to make sure when you're shopping that there's nothing else on the box other than just plain rice or oats. And you want to introduce one first and wait 3 days to make sure there's no allergies. And then you could try introducing the other grain and wait 3 days. And then you know that your baby does not have an allergy to these cereals.
So one of the questions we get all the time is, how do I know when to start feeding my baby the cereal? Well, rule of thumb is if the baby can sit up in a high chair or has good head control and is starting to sit up, that you could put them have them sitting so they can have their head tilted back just a little bit. So sometimes people will use a little seat, or they will use a high chair that does have a bit of a recline, and that's okay as long as they are sitting fairly upright with just the head tilted back a little bit.
And the handout too gives a nice description of how much to feed of the infant cereal depending on the age and how you might want to introduce it as well. So it is quite helpful to have that handout and have a look through it. So now that we've talked about the different grains and how you would introduce those, I'm going to demonstrate how to make some baby food. So I have my blender here. You can use any type of blender that you have at home. Some people have a Magic Bullet or a baby Brezza, so you're welcome to use those. So there are all kinds of ways to make baby food. There are lots of frozen fruits and vegetables that are available that I find really simple. So I'm going to start with canned pears. So I just bought a can of pears, and I did drain it. So I'm going to pour it into my blender. And there's a bit of juice there. I did try to buy one that says in its own juice versus in syrup. So if that's available, that would be a better choice. So I'm gonna put that in my blender. And I like to add a little wee bit of water, just to give it a little bit of liquid, not too much. And then we're gonna blend this up. So that's pretty much all it is you just want to make sure that there's no chunks left in there. And then we're going to get our ice cube tray, and we're going to pour in the fruit or whatever you choose to make into the tray. So once we've got this all filled up, you would freeze it in the freezer. Put some saran wrap over the ice cube tray first. And it takes about half a day to freeze, or you could even just do it overnight. And then in the morning, or when you go back to get the food, it will be all in these nice little pre-portions for you. So when you're starting to feed the baby, you don't need a lot, and you just want to make sure that they do not have an allergy to that. So this is what it would look like. So once your food is frozen, you can take it out of your ice cube tray, and you're gonna get little cubes like this. So these are actually peaches. We made pears at the beginning, but I froze peaches. So we talked about fruits with the canned peaches and pears. You can also use frozen peaches and pears depending on where you shop, what's available. Not every store has all of the frozen fruits, but there is a large selection at most stores, so they're a great way to make your own baby food that doesn't take a long time. So here we have vegetables. So I chose carrots. So again, the jar of carrots was $1.79 at the store I was at, and this bag of frozen carrots was $2.29, and I made half the bag. So when you make frozen vegetables, you do have to steam the vegetables first in the microwave or on the stove, and then you put it in your blender. And I always need a little bit of water to add to those just so that it blends up easier. So don't forget, you might need a little bit of water. With the carrots, I used half a bag. And again, I was able to get 12 cubes of carrots versus, what you would get with a small jar. And again, the jars you have to use up within a certain time. So these are just so easy to have in your freezer, and you can pull out 1 cube at a time. And it's great and easy and tastes good too. Okay, so a few more food demos for you. A really easy one is a banana. So obviously you would just take a ripe banana and you peel it, and you take a fork and just mash it up. And when you're first introducing this, you would want to make sure there's not a lot of chunks in there. But as baby gets older and is better with textures, it's good to give your baby different textures of food, and you could even, so that might be something, this might be something that you would do when you're first starting to really mash it, but as baby gets older and you're comfortable with feeding and they're able to pick things up, you could cut it into small pieces. It is very individual on your comfort level as well as your baby's cues and their feeding, how they're able to swallow and chew. So those are some things you could do, very simple with a banana. Once you know your baby likes banana and is not allergic, you can always mix it in with a cereal, which is always nice after they've tried the cereal and you know there's no allergy there. So just a different way to get in a variety of foods. So one of the other items that we're going to demo today is an avocado. So an avocado is a really good source of fat. So what you want to do with an avocado is make sure that you pick a soft one so that it's going to be nice and ripe. So I'm just going to peel off the outer peel here. And then I'm going to take some of the avocado. There is a pit in there, so you can just kind of scoop some out. So you can see that pit in there, you don't want to use that. And then you're going to take your fork again and mash. So avocado really doesn't have a strong flavor. It has a slight nutty taste, but it doesn't have a strong flavor. So you could introduce this first, wait 3 days, and then this is something you could mix in with another food, like maybe a sweet potato or a butternut squash. And it just gives your baby some good healthy fats. So that would be the mashed version. And then the other way you could do the avocado, if your baby's able to pick up food or chew, you could cut it into little pieces like that. So just another option for some homemade baby food. So another idea to make your own baby food would be using a sweet potato. So I cooked this sweet potato in the oven, and this one took about 40 minutes. So sometimes when I would make baby food, I would make a few of these at a time to make it worthwhile. So I'm just gonna peel my sweet potato now, and it comes off really nice and easy. Does not look very appetizing, but it tastes and smells really good. Most babies really like sweet potato. So I'm gonna mash this with a potato masher. You could also use a blender. I couldn't find frozen sweet potatoes because that would have been really convenient, but I checked a few places and they just don't seem to have them. So this was the only option. So this one takes a little bit longer just because you do have to cook it for a little while, but as I said, I would always make a couple of them, or if you know your baby likes it, you could do quite a few, and then you've got a good stash in the freezer. So this is not going to be as smooth, so it just depends on how much you mash it, but it's going to have a bit more of a texture. But again, that is what's recommended, is to try and give your baby different textures so they get used to that, and to try and prevent some picky eating. So this is what the mash or the sweet potato would look like. Again, you could cut it into chunks if your baby's ready for that, but this is a good one to start with. And you could put this into an ice cube tray and then freeze it, and then you get those nice cubes that are all pre-portioned for. So how you would put some of these foods together, if you've got maybe a few of these bags in your freezer. So we're gonna put a carrot in the bowl, and then we're gonna take a cube of peaches and put it in the bowl. And then what you would do is you would put this in the microwave. So again, when you cook foods in the microwave, you have to be careful because it doesn't cook evenly. So you always wanna taste it before you've given that to your baby, and give it a nice stir once it's all thawed up. And you could mix them all together, and then you've got a nice combination of carrots and peaches. You could do other combinations as well, but it's just as easy as that. And then your baby gets a nice variety of foods, and you don't have to be reliant on the jars or packages. So we hope you enjoyed the baby food making food demo. We hope that you learned a few things. Again, the link for the handout will be at the end of this video. And if you have any questions, you're welcome to call Kelly or I at the health center.
I thank Erika for making everything today quick and easy, and it looks like you had a fun time.
It was fun, yes. I haven't made baby food in a long time.